Ahoj, já vás zdravím v novém roce 2024. You might have heard a Czech person say, umím anglicky, nebo neumím anglicky. But where is speak in this sentence? Is that even correct to say umím anglicky? Let's find that out. Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka, kde vám pomocí angličtiny vysvětluju českou gramatiku. In this video, I'm going to teach you phrases that Czech natives use. If you hear them for the first time, you might be thinking they are strange or there is something missing. But first things first, let's look at the basics. Let's take a look at so-called modal verbs. Modal verbs are those that usually don't appear by themselves. They have to be accompanied by a main verb. Modal verbs can express possibility, ability, or necessity, or permission. And in Czech, the modal verbs are muset, chtít, moct, a umět. I also included potřebovat, which is not exactly a modal verb, but it acts in a very, very similar way. So I include it in this group. Muset means have to, potřebovat, need, chtít, want, moct, can, be able to, umět, to know how to do something. That's when we talk about our ability, about our skills. Let's look at how to use their forms if I want to say I must do something. Muset, já musím, I must. Já musím, I must. Potřebovat, já potřebuju. Já potřebuju, I need. Chtít, já chci. Chci. I want. Moct, já můžu, I can. Já můžu. A umět, já umím, umím, I can, as in I know how to do something. As I said before, these verbs are not complete if we just use them by themselves. If I say musím, I have to, it doesn't tell us what is it that I have to do unless someone just previously mentioned that before. So what we usually do, we use another verb, the main verb, in its base form, in the infinitive form. For example, musím se zeptat, I must ask. Zeptat se is to ask, and if I want to add it, I would use it in this form. Musím se zeptat. I must ask. Musím se zeptat. Potřebuju se zeptat. I need to ask. Potřebuju se zeptat. Chci se zeptat. I want to ask. Chci se zeptat. Můžu se zeptat. I can ask. Můžu se zeptat. Or umím se zeptat. I know how to ask. Umím se zeptat. Now, what happens if we use a motion verb, a verb that talks about us going somewhere, such as jít? Let's use the base form again. Musím jít, I must go. It is okay, but usually this verb is accompanied by a destination. We often say, where do I have to go? For example, musím jít domů, I have to go home. Potřebuju jít domů, I need to go home. Chci jít domů, I want to go home. Můžu jít domů, I can go home. We will leave out this one because this doesn't really make sense. Now we're getting to the interesting part. In spoken Czech, it's very common to leave out this main verb when we have a destination where we're going. So it is completely okay to say musím domů. Musím domů. If you translate it to English, it literally means I must home. I must to home, which is weird, right? But in Czech, this is completely understandable. Musím domů. It's something that is very typical for native Czechs to say. Už musím domů. I have to go home now. Už musím domů. Potřebuju domů. I need to go home. Chci domů. I want to go home. Já už chci domů. Můžu domů. I can go home. Again, we're not going to include this verb in this yet. So why is it okay to use it without the verb? And when is it okay to leave out this verb? Like I said, when we have something of a motion verb, plus a destination. When the destination is more important than the means of getting there, it's not important to say if you're gonna walk there or fly there, then we can leave out the verb because it's clear from the context. This modal verb is going to say if I have to go or I want to go, etc. For example, if I say I want to go to America, I could say Chci do Ameriky. Chci do Ameriky. I want to go to America. And it's not important whether I want to travel there by car. Chci jet do Ameriky or fly there. Chci letět do Ameriky. Or simply to get there. Chci se dostat do Ameriky. Or I want to travel to America. Chci cestovat do Ameriky. All these verbs are fine, but if we speak, we want to express ourselves fast, we often leave them out in spoken Czech. Chci do Ameriky, chci se dostat do Ameriky, chci cestovat do Ameriky. Or if someone gets their visa, their ESTA permit, they can say, teď už můžu do Ameriky. Now I can go to America. Teď už můžu do Ameriky. So it is okay to leave out the main verb when we use these modal verbs plus a destination. That has to be some kind of an adverbial phrase. We could ask where. Where do you want to go to America? Kam in Czech. Kam as in motion, destination. To where? Kam chceš? Chci do Ameriky. And the modal verb umět has a little bit different rule because obviously we cannot use a destination with this verb. We use it to describe skills. What is it that I can do? For example, I can speak English. Umím mluvit anglicky. Umím mluvit anglicky. And if you hear a Czech native speaker, they would probably say umím anglicky. This verb is not important because it's clear from the context. Anglicky means in English, like already includes that you communicate in English. Unless you wanted to emphasize something else that I can read in English but I don't understand, then you would have to explain it, of course. But if you just want to say that you know English, you know how to communicate, or any other language in this form, you leave out mluvit. Umím anglicky, umím česky, umím španělsky. Or you could ask, umíš anglicky? Do you know how to English? Does this verb refer to languages only? No, like I said, it expresses skills. So if you talk about cooking, you want to say, I know how to make svíčková, this typical Czech dish. So you could say umím vařit nebo uvařit svíčkovou. Umím uvařit svíčkovou, umím připravit svíčkovou, I know how to prepare svíčková. And you can leave it out. Umím svíčkovou. You assume that when you have umím, you're talking about skills. So what else would you know how to do with svíčková to cook it? Let's see more examples. When you hear phrases like this, you should not be surprised. They are all correct. Chci ven. I want to go out. Chci ven. So imagine there is a verb jít. Chci jít ven, but it doesn't have to be there. Nechci do práce. I don't want to go to work. Nechci do práce. Musím k doktorovi. I have to go to the doctor. Musím k doktorovi. Musím na poštu. I have to go to the post office. Musím na poštu. Můžu do pokoje. Can I go to the room? For example, you see that the door is closed, so you want to make sure that you can enter the room. Můžu do pokoje. Or, very important, potřebuju na záchod. I need to go to the bathroom. Potřebuju na záchod. By the way, for those who don't know, záchod is very informal. We use it with friends and family, but do not use it in public. You can just say na toaletu. Anyways, you would not be announcing in public potřebuju na toaletu or na záchod. But this is a phrase that you can use with family and friends. And all these sentences could have the verb jít right here, right after the modal verb. They need to contain the destination, where you want to go. And that's something that we could ask in Czech with the question kam. Not kde, there are two different questions. You would ask kam. Kam means Like to where you're headed, rather than where you are, that's kde, that's different. Kde and kam. So you could ask, kam chceš? Chci ven. Kam nechceš? Nechci do práce. Kam musíš? K doktorovi. Kam musíš? Na poštu. Kam můžeš? Do pokoje. Kam potřebuješ? Na záchod. Let's read these sentences together. Opakujte po mně. Repeat after me. Chci ven. Nechci do práce. Musím k doktorovi. Musím na poštu. Můžu do pokoje. Potřebuju na záchod. Výborně. You will find more information in my blog post, and here's the link. In this blog post, you will find everything I talked about here and a few more examples. Plus, there are also some exercises. I showed you examples only in the present tense, but of course you can also use the modal verbs in a different tense. For example, chtít, you can say kočka chtěla ven. The cat wanted out, it wanted to go out. Or kočka bude chtít ven. The cat will want to go out, will want out. And again, we are leaving out the verb jít. And I want to wrap this up with one sentence that translates into Czech. We need to go grocery shopping. I want you to say two versions. One in the proper Czech, where you don't leave out anything, and the other one in the informal spoken Czech, leaving out the main verb. We need, potřebujeme, to go, jít, assuming that we're just gonna go there. We don't have to emphasize how we're getting there. Grocery shopping, we say it as in we're going for shopping. And that is na nákup. Potřebujeme jít na nákup. We need to go grocery shopping. And the second version is easy. We take away this verb. We need grocery shopping. Potřebujeme na nákup. Because na nákup is the destination. Kam? Na nákup. A to je ode mě všechno. Practice more with my blog post. Don't forget to check it out. And I'm curious to hear from you. Did you know about this? Have you noticed that some constructions in Czech just sound like we forgot a word? Of course, there are more constructions like this. Mějte se hezky a na viděnou příští týden.